Politico is reporting that the Supreme Court is going to overturn Roe v. Wade. If this is true, this is an absolute bombshell. Um, it's been 50 years, the law of the land. Roe v. Wade, of course, is about abortion rights, and the Supreme Court ruled that in Roe v. Wade that essentially a woman's liberty to choose would not be infringed upon, and without excessive restrictions. So it allowed some restrictions, of course, by the states, and then what happened was states would implement rules and they'd be tested by the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court might say that this is overly restrictive. But this if it's true, is going to change everything. So it would return the laws back to the states. So the states would be allowed to determine restrictions rather than a federal blanket. Each state would be able to determine their own rules. So presently, it would be something along the lines of some states would say no abortions at all. They'd be severely restricted, even to the degree of saying, for example, no exceptions for incest or rape. That I think that would be the minority of states. The majority of states would probably, more liberal thought, and they would allow virtually no restrictions or just minor restrictions. And then you'd have some in between, right? Some would say maybe you can't have an abortion within the first 13 weeks. Only within the first 13 weeks. After that, you can't have an abortion. And probably many states would say, there would be exceptions for incest and rape and that type of thing. But this is incredible. And this is what the Democrats feared when Amy Coney Barrett was nominated by Trump. So if you remember, Trump specifically said that he wanted to have his nominee would overturn Roe v. Wade. Now, I remember vividly during the hearings that Amy Coney Barrett, when she was questioned, she essentially said that this is the law of the land, and stare decisis, which is the term that says let the precedent stand. So if the precedent is that it's there, then generally speaking, that's the way law works. So we shouldn't be changing laws every 5 minutes. So if the law is that, let it stand. However, there's always exceptions to the rule. So if this is true, if it's true, this is huge. As CNN's reporting and Politico's reporting that this would be a 5-4 decision. So the five conservatives, 3 liberals, and Chief Justice Roberts is supposedly the 4th vote on the minority side. So he's not in the majority on this ruling. But it's also reported that John Roberts would, for example, vote to uphold the actual Mississippi law that banned abortion at 5 weeks of pregnancy. So if that's true, then Roberts is saying that this law doesn't go against Roe v. Wade. It's restrictive, but it's not too restrictive, and it shouldn't overturn Roe v. Wade. Just saying that the Mississippi law is not overly restrictive. So that, I think, would be the liberals, the Democrats would be hoping for that to be true, and hopefully that would be the other justices wouldn't go against that. Now, if this is true, that means the other 5 conservative justices are saying that the federal government has no role in this at all. The Constitution does not allow a federal role. There's nothing in the Constitution that's giving the federal government the power to rule one way or the other. So sending it back to the states. This is unbelievable if it's true. Now, it's not supposed to go into effect until June. So if that's true, that this leak is true, then it's possible that someone leaked this with the intention of shining a spotlight on the 5 conservative justices who presumably are voting to overturn Roe v. Wade. And it's possible that the intention of the leak is to stop this ruling from going into effect. So the way it would normally work would be what we wouldn't know until June, right? When in June, whatever the opinion is released, it's done. It's a fait accompli. It's done, and then here's the five justices presumably that voted for it and the four against, and then there's their ruling and the verbiage that comes from that ruling. But it would be after the ruling, right? So this is somebody's preempting that, and probably again to, I'd say, likely to change the mind of justices, right? So tomorrow morning, May 3rd, you're going to have everyone's going to be out there talking about this, right? And they're going to be naming names and going after the five justices that are voting for it, and they're going to be calling them all sorts of things, right? Rightly or wrongly, one way or another, they're going to be attacking these people. And it's going to put a lot of pressure on these justices to change their mind. So I would presume that it was done with this intention. I mean, this is absolutely huge. Let's go back and look at this right here. Right, as it says, during the confirmation hearing, Barrett did not directly answer the questions about women's the role of abortion rights. She had said that she opposed abortion on demand, and during the confirmation hearings, the Democrats were really trying to get her. They didn't want her on the Supreme Court because they were afraid that she would be the deciding vote to overturn Roe v. Wade. And I do remember vividly, though, she mentioned stare decisis many times. Let the decision stand. It's settled law. But she did give an out, as all Supreme Court justice nominees do, that not every single law of the land, just because it's there and even there for many years, shouldn't be overturned. The Dred Scott decision and other ones that they talk about all the time. So, wow, this is going to be incredible tomorrow morning. Let's see what happens. It's just going to be an absolute bombshell.